Okay, I apologize for the long wait, but now the time has finally come, and I'm going to reveal part 2 and finish off my top 10 PlayStation 2 games. Coming in at number 6 is Jak X Combat Racing. Out of all the racing games I've played, Jak X Combat Racing is my favorite. Not only is it a racing game, it's a racing game with weapons, and it is so much fun to use weapons. It also has a lot of variety into the game. Instead of being just a circuit race, there's death races, turbo races, deathmatch, etc. The story actually kind of makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Jak and crew gets poisoned during the reading of crew's will, and the only way to get the antidote is to beat the Crash City Grand Championship.
Get out of this mess. Bye bye to Sasnoan. Win the race and save yourselves.
Jak, next time you invite me to one of your little parties, don't!
Gameplay is very simple, but very much fun. However, there was one major problem that I had with the game, and which is why I placed it at number 6. The autosave glitch. Yes, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's several occasions where the glitch seems to be saying it's autosaving, and it can corrupt your save data. I've endured this twice already, and it pisses me off. I was 75% done, and I got pissed off because the glitch corrupted my file.
Yeah, well your father's crazy. We're all crazy for coming here! I think she's telling the truth.
But aside from that, Jak X Combat Racing is a very fun game, and I strongly recommend it to any racing fans, let alone a Jak and Daxter fan. Number 5, Crash Twinsanity. Crash Bandicoot is one of my all-time favorite franchises. I've already said that with Wrath of Cortex. But aside from that, Crash Twinsanity is my favorite Crash Bandicoot game for the PlayStation 2. It had a lot of fun gameplay. It offered a lot of new things. Instead of being just linear around a warp room, you're now allowed to free roam around anywhere you like. Gameplay just plays a little similar to the other Crash Bandicoot games, but the addition of playing as Cortex and Nina makes it a lot of fun. It also had a lot of funny moments.
Keep back, you weak-minded fool! Avert your gaze or you'll go crystal crazy!
And this game tries to be funny, but it managed to succeed, unlike Crash of the Titans.
The humble bumblebee!
Let's play my game. This is the part where you run away screaming.
There's a lot of moves that you can do, and it's very much fun to play. And the story is very well made as well. And it's completely wacky.
How are you fools before the awesome might of the evil twins?
So, if you're looking for a game just to get a few laughs in, and if you like to play a Crash Bandicoot game, then I strongly recommend Crash Twinsanity. Number 4, Jak II. Talk about a game that is completely different from its predecessor. Jak II took everything Jak and Daxter had and completely renewed it, I guess you could say. Gone was the bright atmosphere, gone was the platforming, and gone was the eco powers. You got in dark environments, free roaming, Grand Theft Auto kind of style, and a much darker storyline.
I'm gonna kill Crashes!
And the use of the morph gun. But out of all of this, it's still a fun game to play.
I'd like to give him a touching moment.
However, there was one problem that I had with the game. It was too hard. Now, I know games are meant to be challenging, and I like challenging, but this one takes it way too far. But aside from that, it's still a fun game to play.
Jeez! Remind me not to piss you off.
And also it introduces Dark Jak, and he was very fun to play, but I do have problems with it as well. Cursor orbs now act as secret collectibles that you can unlock secrets, and you collect skull gems. Lurkers are now replaced with metalheads and the Crimson Guard, and you get these new characters that completely have a darker personality than some of the other characters in the previous game. Some characters do retain the lightheartedness tone, but still, Jak II is a very fun game, and I strongly recommend this game. It was ranked as the PlayStation 2's best game, well, one of them, and for good reason. Number 3, Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man has got to be one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man games. Why? Because of good gameplay and a very good concept. It takes place after the origin of Venom and creates a whole new storyline. And I gotta say, that is really impressive. Gameplay not only lets you play as Spider-Man, but also Venom as well, which I thought was a really great idea. And Venom's gameplay was completely different, and that I gotta give them a positive on as well. Venom can jump high distances, shoot tentacles out of his arms, and he also requires defeating to regenerate his health. He's also stronger than Spider-Man, he can also throw cars around.
Come on, Brock! Is that all you have?
Spider-Man's gameplay pretty much plays the same as Spider-Man 2 did. Just free roaming around New York City, swinging and taking down enemies. Pretty simple, really, but very satisfying. However, the game is pretty short, getting around maybe 6 hours into play, but still, it was a very fun game to play.
Okay, fine. It's a nice suit. Sorry.
The voice acting in the game actually works really well when it comes to Spider-Man.
I will destroy you! Mine! And you can't have it!
Town missions can be a little bit repetitive, but I'm able to overlook those because they're not really big parts of the gameplay, except for unlocking the next story chapter. But aside from that, Ultimate Spider-Man is a very fun game and well worth it. Number 2, Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh yeah, if you know me, then Shadow the Hedgehog is definitely one of my all-time favorite games, and definitely the most underrated as well. This game had a lot to offer. Playing as Shadow, collecting Chaos Emeralds, letting you choose whether to be good or evil, and the multiple story paths that leads to more hours of gameplay. The weapons and vehicles really do provide some use in the game, and add new variety into the game, and I gotta say, Sega, you did a good job on it.
I take orders from no one. I do as I decide.
The story actually kind of worked when it comes to leading up to the gameplay. And also, most of the voice acting was decent, but there were a few that were actually quite well done.
Doctor, you're going straight to the place you created.
Please, Shadow, I need your help. My grandfather's experiment. Something's gone horribly wrong.
Idiot! Perhaps I need to teach you a lesson!
Now, I will admit, I do prefer Shadow the Hedgehog over some other games, but when you think about it, the replay value is the biggest praise I can give Shadow the Hedgehog. It gives you more hours of gameplay and unlocks the different storylines. It also has some similarity to the classic Sega Genesis games as well, or should I say the other Sonic games, not just the Sega Genesis games. Actually works. The controls were a lot smooth, and the camera worked well. So, overall, I just have to say Shadow the Hedgehog is definitely one of my favorite Sonic games, but definitely the most underrated on the list. Now, before we get to number 1, let's do a little recap. Now, you may be wondering, why did Shadow the Hedgehog end up as number 2? Well, there's one reason. It's a multi-platform title, and number 1 is definitely a Sony title made especially for the PlayStation 2. You want to know what it is? Here it is. Number 1, Jak III. If I had to list my favorite Jak and Daxter game in the entire franchise, Jak III would definitely be my all-time favorite. The story expands after Jak II, and the environments have changed a lot. And the gameplay offers a lot more than Jak II offered, while it retains some similarities.
Why does it sound like you're leaving out the dangerous part?
Dark Jak and Light Jak worked much better than Jak II in my opinion. And also, you get to control Daxter. This is a big positive I could say about Jak III. Letting you play as Daxter. Not only could you explore around Haven City, but you could also explore Sparga City and the Wasteland. It offered a lot of missions, and each one of them were fun as hell. Some missions, I will admit, were very hard and very frustrating, while most of the game relies on very much a very good challenge, and that's something I can also say Jak III offered a lot. Also, you get more enemies than just the Metalheads and the Crimson Guard. You have the Dark Makers, you have the KG robots, these little critters here in the stadium ruins, etc.
The only hombres tough and crazy enough to take on these things are the Wastelanders. You're a genius.
So overall, Jak III is a very fun game. There's very little negatives I can say about Jak III.
Okay.
It's definitely my all-time favorite in the franchise, and it deserves my list as the #1 PlayStation 2 game. So, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 PlayStation 2 games. Now do remember, this is all opinion-based, which means you are free to have your own. So, with all said and done, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.